Bob.
Hi.
Bobby.
That's it.
Bobbert. Bob Crawford.
Yep, all those things.
Craw
right.
Bobby. Does anybody ever call you Craw Bobby?
They have.
Could I call you Craw Bob?
I mean, I don't talk to them anymore, so
I was
it's up
gonna.
to you.
This is a test. This is a test. I was gonna say never allow that.
Yeah, no, it doesn't happen.
Okay,
no,
good.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
We're on the same page.
Yeah. Yep. No, nor does Bobbert. Bobbert's
I would
close.
never.
Yeah, my name's
But
not
I
Robert.
did.
It's not Robert.
It's a fun. I say it in my head. You know, sometimes I'm all like, well, I'm gonna go see Bobbert, old Bobbert.
Old Bobbert.
I never do that. So, history.
Yeah.
Her story, history, today. Talking about the present in the past is what we're doing today. Bob.
Hi.
People may know you as.
Bobbert, apparently. Where's Bobby? Bobby Dale?
Bobby Dale.
Grommit
I forgot about that one.
is the
That's
old-
what we're looking for. We're looking for Grommit.
Is that the that's the right answer?
That is the right
Okay,
answer,
cool.
right? That is the
right.
DJ name.
Okay. I'm
The
glad I got that one
moniker.
right.
Do you
Yeah.
go by another one besides Grommit?
No. Well, I
Can
mean,
you-
add a little Bob to it. Bob Grommit sometimes, but yeah, usually Grommit.
Maybe Grommit, Craw Grommit? No, we're not doing that. We're going to stop that one. I apologize.
Vomit.
Oh, no.
No,
No.
it's too soon
That
for all
that was good, though. It was off the cuff. We're this is ad-libbing.
It's true.
How,
going great so far, though.
How rave?
How rave?
No, not that. And I think that we met Plush. I know it was the rave scene.
It's true. Yep.
Old 90s, early 2000s rave era.
Yeah.
At a place called Plush. It's a little bit of Austin history.
Yeah.
Austin, Texas.
Rest
I
in
don't
peace.
know where else is it. Oh my gosh.
Rest in peace.
I mean, it had a good ride.
It had a great run.
The end, a little weird, but we
was.
we would show up for a drink or two, say what's up. It was a tiny club, very small. We called it Plush. It was anything but. It was
True.
quite the opposite.
True. In the beginning, it was plush.
Was
it?
it?
Actually plush, yeah.
Was there like velvet
Like
or
the late 90s and the early 2000s, very early 2000s.
Tell me
it
about
was
that.
Plush. So the place was actually pretty swank. There was no graffiti on the walls.
Oh, I hate that.
In the back where the bathrooms were and where the DJ booth eventually ended up.
Yeah.
There were like little couches back there. There was a little divider between that little section and the bathroom, so the bathroom wasn't directly on the dance floor as it ended up later down the line.
bathroom, coke room? Let's be real.
You're right,
It wasn't
you're
a
right.
bathroom.
Yeah, so it was plush then. Really fancy. My friend Tweety owned it at the time.
Tweety, why does that name sound familiar?
I don't know, maybe.
Because cartoon.
Let's say, yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
And this is why you would never have witnesses, and the evidence and their memory. You know, you implant a false memory. What I'm saying is they're never reliable during trials. You know, you can get a conviction. I saw a red truck. It was a blue truck. You know, the implanted memories. Tweety probably did. I don't think I knew him personally.
Right.
I was thinking about the bird.
All
Was he
right.
as crafty as Tweety?
Pretty crafty, yeah. I mean, he ran the club well.
Well, okay.
And then, I mean, when he left, you saw what happened.
Oh, well, I
graffiti
mean,
on the walls, like
God,
riffraff
yeah.
in the spot. I mean,
The
geez.
floors, they were sticky, and they probably are still sticky to this day. I imagine if they put a new floor over it, still sticky.
I would assume so. I think they had those floors imported from like some sort of
Stick factory.
well, more or like a shitty theater, movie theater, you know, like those floors. So I think they had those imported.
A
directly.
saltwater taffy factory.
Exactly. The floor was actually made out of taffy. If you didn't notice, they lacquered over the top. But yeah,
So
Yeah.
we're talking about, you know, the early mid Austin rave scene, because there was an earlier version which was great,
yeah.
as it would be in the 90s, as people
Yeah.
want to be in the 90s now. The kids, they love the 90s, they love the Y2Ks. That's where
They
the
do.
plush was.
They do.
And you were there.
I was there.
How
Yeah.
did you get in there?
Man, so I think the first time I went to Plush, I worked at Alien Records, which we can talk about that more later.
Put a pin in that.
Herb was the owner of Plush. He and Tweety were really tight friends. Herb played there and brought me in there to
Herb
hang out.
Alpert.
Herb
the T on it.
Agapitis.
Okay.
Well, close.
Oh, whoa.
Another A.
Say the name again.
Herb Agapitis.
What kind of name is that?
Greek.
Sounds Greek.
Yeah. I
Did
think
he
it's
make
Greek.
a
I'm
good
pretty sure it's Greek.
tzatziki? That's racist.
I don't know.
Is that racist? I mean,
I
they
don't
should.
know.
Ask me if I make a good salsa. Cut that one out. We're gonna cut that one out. Production.
Fix and post. But yeah, so Herb brought me in. He was playing there regularly, and went and saw him, and it was great. The place was cool. And then the way I got in there playing, my friend Chris Parson and Ryan King started up a drum and bass night there. early 2000. Like this is fresh in 2000. We managed somehow to get through the Y2K. I know it's treacherous for everybody to navigate through all that, but we made it, and they started a night at Plush, all drum and bass, and I joined in soon after. And then, man, that night ran from 2000 until Plush closed in 2020. Well, the night closed in 2020, like as pandemic started. So 20 years of drum and bass. We ran with the night till about 2006. And then these other kids took it over for a few years, and then another group came and took it over. But it ran for 20 years, which was
20
pretty
years.
impressive. Yeah, yeah.
So somebody's born at some point, right? There's a kid pops out 20. They live their life. They're living parallel with Plush. They don't know that. And meanwhile,
not at all.
You split screen. We're living our lives. We're doing Plush as a kid growing up. He's having his first dance. He's having his graduation. He's maybe having a baby.
Yeah,
who knows? He's an adult at this point.
Yeah.
And Plush is still happening.
Yeah.
Amongst the world.
There was a guy who was a regular who came there in the early days, and then when we moved to like the dubstep night, he would bring his son or his daughter rather to the dubstep night. So we were like, oh, great! Now I'm seeing multiple generations.
Wow,
here.
wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
That's a slice of Americana. Huh? So Plush.
Yep.
The Sticky Floors. We're in there. We're doing stuff. It was mostly. Cut that one out. It's mostly an electronical music club. However, some nights, maybe a Monday, you'd find something different.
Yeah,
Our friend Brian
like
dogs.
Yeah.
Like dogs.
Like dogs. That's how they played. Like dogs. They would die like dogs. But they persevered.
They did.
Yeah.
They were very good. I remember
They
the
were
first time I saw them, I said, "This is a very good band. I've missed so much of them, and I regret that." Took some photos.
Yeah.
They're now forever on the internet. Like dogs. Monday nights is what they would do. Every other night, electronic music, right?
Yep. Every other night. Yeah, we had so our drum and bass night was Tuesdays, and it ran Tuesdays forever. Then we had our dubstep night, which was Wednesday for a while. Then we moved to Friday. Merrick Brown had a Wednesday night. Like there was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Like something was there and something was popping off. But it was nice because it was all different genres within electronic music, so it was good.
What was the name of the Tuesday night?
Our Tuesday night was called Mental Note. And then
I like that.
Then I think Everyday Junglist took it over in 06-ish. And then it changed to Sonar DMB like in 2012.
I remember these flyers.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah. So that was I think the three names of the night. But yeah, ours was Mental Note, which I thought was.
I like that one. That's a good one. I think that's really good. Right.
Yeah,
We can use it again.
Yeah, I think Parson came up with that name. So yeah, it was good.
Oh,
Chris.
Who, Crisp Arson. We want to get it with the name, right? It was a very good name. It's Chris Parson.
Yeah, but then
flip
just
it around.
put the P over there.
Yeah, and you're
flip the P over.
Yes,
the A over.
Yes.
Chris
You just kind of
Arson.
rearrange it. It wasn't an anagram,
No.
although I do love an anagram.
Who doesn't?
My name turns into nothing in an anagram.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've done yours.
Um,
Have you? We should actually.
Yeah,
Can somebody look up the anagram of Bobby's name? Bobby Crawford. Bobby Dale. Plush.
Yep.
We're there.
We were.
Picture it in your mind. Picture the smells. Picture the garbage can in the back with the big speakers.
Yep.
Electronic music. Now, you slide in, right? But before then, let's talk about before then. First experiment, first experience with electronic music.
Man, I was like, so I lived in Odessa. I grew up in Odessa, Texas, in the country. And luckily I had a couple of friends who were older. They were into really good music. So my introduction was like, early FSOL, but my first thing that I remember vividly was Moby.
I feel like Moby's everybody's first like electronic experience. Yeah,
it's true. And I just saw him recently with these. Like, have you seen his tattoos? I
have not.
What do they say? Animal rights, I believe. Like in the big ass bold letters down the sleeves.
We get it.
And he said "vegan for life." Like
all
on his
right,
neck.
that's
yeah,
all.
like,
I mean, there's a whole decision he had to make for
it's
that.
True. It's true.
I don't even think there was a list where he's like, well, I can get one of these. Like, I'm not. He went straight in for that.
No, he dove right in.
You know what?
It's big block letters.
It's your
and
life.
Stuff.
And
yeah, very obvious.
go ahead.
But yeah, so one of my friends, Wayne Garrett, turned me on to Moby and a few other. I worked in the mall, and so like these older cats that worked at the record store right down the way would turn me on to good things. But Moby, and specifically what got me in drum and bass, it's not even drum and bass, but this song called 1000, which is a Moby song, and it just like started at like 50 BPM, and it would just like keep driving and driving until it got like to 1,000 BPM. That's why it's called 1000. It was just like, and then it would drop back down and start over. And like listening to it now, I mean, it's good for a listen, but it's not like something you're jamming in the car and like, yeah, this is great. But
right.
It got me in like this really intense, like fast music. But outside of that, like I was a big industrial head. I had my friend Donnie Sosa was a huge industrial head. Got me into like, Ministry and Front 242 and Revolting Cocks and Coil, which is one of my favorite groups of all time. So it's just a little bit of all that, man, like that. So that's why I kind of, veered towards the heavier side of drum and bass, and like got into drum and bass because like I was big industrial and like
I get that,
metalhead, but also liked hip hop too. So it was like
Right.
perfect bridge. You got like the halftime hip hop with the drum and bass. So
strongly agree.
It just like all
For
floated.
me, Born Slippy Underworld.
It's a great one.
Which is it's a break beat, right?
Yeah.
Like yes, it goes. I think it begins a little bit more I wouldn't say trancey. I don't like trance. No offense. If you're into it, I hate it. But it's more atmospheric, and then it gets into like a bit of a break. I love break beats.
Yep.
And when I sometimes think about all the things that I like now, and I'm like, they are rooted in things that I liked when I was a kid. Like I like break beats. I like the hip hops.
Yep.
Never really got too much into the jungle and drum and bass. Can appreciate it, but I do remember Phantom 45, Think Twice, great cassette tape, great album.
Yeah.
So many hip hop samples.
Sure.
And it's just these things that kind of tie us and draw us back.
Yep.
Love the industrial. I love techno. And the only kind of techno I like, no synths. I'm not into synths in the techno. I like it to just be about a 130, 140 BPM.
Yeah.
Sounds like a dishwasher stuck in hell on repeat is what I like, how I like my techno.
Good.
It's very specific.
Yeah.
So
Phantom 45. Quick story about Phantom 45.
Yes, please. I would. We're here. We're not here for me. We're here for this. We're the stories.
There's a strip club like a mile from here called Perfect 10, and they have like this little back room. And there was a show that was booked there. It was Phantom 45. I opened up for Phantom 45 at that show, but it was in this little back room of this strip club. So there's like all these strippers going on in this main area, and then we've got like this little cutout room on the side. But I thought it was like the weirdest but best spot for a show. Like you're like, I've got to go to the restroom really quick, and you're like, oh, hey, there's all this going on. Let me, make it back for the beats.
What year is this?
This was 2000, probably 1 or 2.
So I'm thinking about 2001. I'm thinking about the stripper tunes for 2001. I'm thinking about going into a strip club now. Like they're playing what is the pop? Right.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think about what they're. Was it a Matchbox 20 situation because it's 2001? Are they just kind of fucking? You know what I mean? Like probably not.
I thought they were probably still stuck with like some 80s jams. Like the 80s hair band. Like that's where you go with that. Like
I would
that's
feel
just
like
classic.
if I strip club DJ'd now, is that what you can call it? Exotic dance strip club dance DJ?
Right.
If I were to do that, no offense. I'm trying to think of the words, and so I hope I do not offend. But if I was a DJ for these venues, I don't mean
to offend these strip club DJs, but yeah.
and I think about doing their job often,
Yeah.
and I was like, man, I would tear it up in there. I would, And
I auditioned to be a strip club DJ in Odessa. So I lived in Denton for a while. I moved back to Odessa for a bit. And when I moved back to Odessa, there was like an ad in the paper for a strip club DJ. I was like, hell yeah, I can go in there and just like play records. So I went in there, I auditioned. They're like, well, yeah, just let us know when you're ready. I was like, do I just mix records or what do we do? And they're like, oh no, you don't do that here. Like you just play the songs they want you to play and you got to talk. And I was like, at that point I didn't have my stripper voice, but now I've honed it over the years. And
can we hear?
Let's see.
Say apple seed to the stage.
How about we do this?
Okay.
Hey fellas, step into the second stage, second time twice as nice. It's Felicity. I don't know what the name.
Oh, that's great. That's good. You can always revisit this dream, right?
It's true. Charisma. That's always a good name.
Is that laugh too loud for the mic? I don't know if that's good. We're good. Okay. Just want to check in. It's our first. This is our first interview.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of things we had to figure out. So I am a cackler. I throw my head back. I laugh. Some say I guffaw. And so, I don't want to into the mic and make it a little bit. So, again, excuse me if I bust the eardrums there. We're still figuring things out. Drum and bass. Mm-hmm. Bobby.
Yeah.
Bob.
Yeah.
Moby is your first experience, right?
Right,
In there,
right? Yeah.
Industrial. Love the industrial. Like hit, you couldn't Ministry. How do you feel about Ministry?
I'm a huge Ministry fan.
Gosh.
And Ministry is an Austin thing. Al Jorgensen's from Austin. Volting Cox, who Al Jorgensen's also in, all Austin. Yeah.
I did not know.
Yeah.
I didn't
a lot of
know
good stuff in
Cox right here. Okay.
Yeah, Al Jorgensen.
Good to know.
Yeah.
I did know about Al Jorgensen, but it was way after I was really into, it was like probably about the 8th grades. And then when I became an adult and I moved here, they're like, the Ministries, I had no idea. I was down the road. I was in San Antonio.
Great, yeah.
And then I love this piece of Austin history right there also.
Good.
Gibby Haynes, Butthole
Gibby
Surfers.
Haynes.
Everybody has a Gibby Haynes story.
I do, and of course I do. I've got a couple. So when Gibby Haynes used to have a radio show here in Austin, and he would take acid on the radio, and just like spout off all this random shit, like have his music playing. I'm a huge Butthole Surfers fan. My friend would record tapes and send them to me in Odessa. So I was a big Gibby Haynes, big Butthole Surfers fan. I moved here to Austin. I've mentioned working at the record store. Herb, who I mentioned, and Gibby were old buddies. Oh. So when I first started working at the record store, which was in '99, one day just Gibby shows up in the record store to shop, as he did regularly throughout the time I worked there. So I meet him, and Toya Koi actually took a photo of us. I was so stoked to meet him and like super starstruck. It never really happens, but I was just like so excited.
Totally.
And he's like 6'7". I'm like 5'9". I'm just like, I'm so excited. He's like, well, let me put my arm around you like we like each other. And I'm like,
Bless him.
But I love you. Yeah. Like, you don't like me.
This isn't real for you. It's real for me.
You have no idea how this is for me, sir. Yeah, it was great. But yeah, I mean, seeing Gibby on the reg and like actually talking to him when he came to the store. Yeah, great. So do you have a Gibby Haynes story? Surely everyone has a Gibby Haynes story.
Let's do it from the top. Let's do that one. Okay.
So do you have a Gibby Haynes story?
I have a Gibby Haynes story. Much like almost every resident in Austin, I have a Gibby Haynes. So Riverside, picture it, 2000. Actually, 1999, because that was when I did my first stint in Austin as a homeless raver kid, just in the streets trying to figure herself out. Still trying to figure myself out. I'm in a convenience store, which was very convenient for me because I was shoplifting from there. I was, again, a very broke raver. And getting ramens, getting some ho-hos. I walk inside, and I can say that now because of statute of limitations, and also it's no longer a store. It's a high-end store now, as everything is. And I am walking out of my new shoplifting situation and with all of my big pants stuffed with ramens and ho-ho cakes, and I see Gibby Haynes on a payphone arguing with his girlfriend to please let him back in the house. And I'm like, Gibby Haynes. And he looks at me and he shoos me away, which is fun because I get it. Hey, I've been on the payphone. I've been on the other side of the payphone. We've all asked, baby, baby, please let me inside, which has also been really great songs, I'm sure.
I'm sure. I mean, that's how they get the good songs. You got to live through heartache, man. Nobody wants to hear a happy song.
I don't want to hear a happy song. I want to hear a song about somebody who feels just as shitty as I do, which is often. So, Alien Records, which was, I remember, I never shoplifted anything from there. I want you to know. I was going to Alien Records during the same time.
The rave pants were big, but they're not big enough to put like a piece of vinyl in. Maybe one of maybe.
Well, I got a CD. Vinyl. I have some CDs.
True, CDs.
I did not shoplift from there. I got a CD from there.
Good.
Breakbeats, atmospheric breakbeats. Way Out West, The Gift.
Okay.
Beautiful song.
Yeah.
I think today, even I would never play it. I've never spit it, but I think that it's a very good track.
Yeah.
And I think it's good. I mean, it's cinematic. I do suggest. I guess I'm really pitching way too hard for them, and it's just unnecessary during this time. It's not about me. It's about him. Big pants.
They were big back then.
What was the biggest you ever went?
I only had one pair of big pants, and that was before I moved to Austin. I got them post Denton while I was in Odessa, because Odessa was just like, I went from Denton back to Odessa, and Odessa didn't change from the time I was in junior high until now. Like, it's getting better now, but well behind the times. Like, I was about to say a really out of taste joke, but I'm not going to throw that one out there. Exactly. So at the time I was like, man, I need a big ass pair of pants so I can show off that I'm a raver here in Odessa. And I got like these, I don't know, like they're fucking 40-inch, probably. I don't know, maybe more than that, like 99s. I feel like there was like a thing at some point. They definitely dragged, but I only had one pair, and then the rest of them were just like those old school skater pants that were just like big all the way down, like a big stovepipe. And never washed them. That was one thing Christina used to always get on me. She's like, "You never wash your clothes." I'm like, "Man, they look great when they're not washed."
I wash my body. I put on the dirty clothes.
Hindsight, they're not good looking. Yeah, I look like I work in a machine shop. But yeah, so I had these big ass pants. They had like a big pocket right here, so I could stuff all sorts of shit in there.
Oh yes.
You know, which was not very comfortable when you walked. But I mean, I could put like at that point, I could put like a laptop in there, I'm sure, and like iMac, who knows what.
Multiple ramens that you shop from a
totally. Yeah, I put all my, like when I'd go DJ, I just put all my records right in there, and just like my headphones
on
one side.
Just dragging.
Funny. Yeah. But being in Odessa, like I left Denton. There's nowhere to DJ in Odessa. My friends owned this gay bar that we used to go to when we were in high school. Like they would let us in, we'd go there and party. They would have, had one gay bar between Odessa and Midland, and you had everybody in there. Like everybody. It was great. It was a melting pot of everybody, and then like all these young ravers. And so they would play like cumbia for a few tunes. They'd play like like Pet Shop Boys for a few tunes, and they'd play like some Josh Wink and some like Armand Van Helden and all that shit. So we'd all just switch out on the dance floor. Like they would do their thing, we'd do our thing. But then we would mix. Like when there was a cumbia on, like we're all from West Texas, we're like, hey, everybody's doing the cumbia. It doesn't matter what you're wearing or what you're there to do. So this bar that I went to when I was a kid, when I moved back to Odessa, I ended up on Tuesday night, funny enough, I asked them if I could play there because no one was there. They had like two old regulars at the bar who would sit at the bar, and then like this big club with a big sound system. So I would just bring my records in there and play to an empty room. And at that point, I didn't have a car, so I rode my bicycle, with a duffel bag full of my fucking records and trying to like balance a bike when you got like 50,
That's
60
hard,
pounds of records over here. You're just like going back and forth. And then after you drank all night playing records for 5 hours, then trying to ride back home in the dark, which is great. But yeah, it was nice to have a place to play. But yeah, like literally 3 friends that would come see me. One of those was Christina's, my wife's brother, and that's how we met. My wife and I met at the gay bar. It was called The Mining Company. Later it was called Fictions.
I love both those.
Yeah, Mining Company was the spot.
Right. I feel like that's for being in Texas. You kind of be like, no, nothing gay going on here. It's the fucking it's a mine. We're just like, we love oil too.
There's no miners here. Yeah.
Yes. Back to Alien Records.
Yeah.
You see Gibby Haynes in there. Who else? Well, tell me what that was like. What was an average day at Alien Records in 1998?
Man, so I took it. So I became the drum and bass buyer. Lord Vishnu was my dude. So Vishnu was working there when I moved to Austin. Vish was working there. He was a drum and bass buyer. He was about to move back to Houston, and so I became good friends with him. And he's like, "Why don't you take this over?" And so I became like the drum and bass guy. So I would order all the shit every week, had all the fresh tunes. Anytime they sent all the orders in, like they would send a stack of promos, and so I was just took all the promos. Like I was a promo guy. But being there, like just being in that shop all the time, like they were on 15th Street originally. I didn't start working there. I shopped there when it was on 15th, but we moved to 5th Street over by like Waterloo. And that's when I worked there. And it was just, man, magical times. Like that was the best time. Like, every DJ who was touring would come in there. Like we sold all the tickets to all the shows. So people would come in there. We'd have, like little parties and have turntables set up. But just like being in that energy and that vibe all the time, and, just being able to help people curate their sound. Like, what are you listening to? What are you into? And like, drum and bass was still like in its infancy, in early 2000, especially in Austin. It was so nice to be able to turn people onto tunes, and I got really great at like, like, hey, do you know that song that goes, like, oh yeah, this guy, there you go, that's the one, yeah. But man, those were great times. It was amazing to work there, and still have, still do my Tuesday night thing at Plush, and just, man, it was great. But I also had like a real job at the same time. Like I worked at a call center, but also worked at Apple. The entire time I was working there. Yeah. Like I would work I'd work on the weekends, work Thursdays. Thursdays were insane. So I would work my regular job on Wednesday. On some Wednesdays for like a few months, I would drive straight after my job to Houston to DJ in Houston, play till 2 a.m., drive back. Go to my regular job at 8 a.m. that morning, and then go to Alien to work on Thursday afternoon. Like, so I would have like a 13, 14-hour day after like being up all night playing, driving back, 2 hours of sleep. Man, those days when you were young and you had all that energy, like you didn't give a shit about
passion.
sleep.
We were doing this for the passion. You could do that, right?
It just makes me tired. Actually, when I said all those words, it made me really sleepy. Just thinking that.
I sometimes still try to. I'm like, I got like 3 events I got to go to, and I, got to do work, and I still think I can. And then like come like 8 p.m. I'm like, not gonna do any of that. We're gonna watch Sopranos again tonight.
Not happening. Yeah.
So we got the big pants. We got the Alien Records. You're in there. You're taking your promo copies. We have no internet.
Totally.
The people got to send them to you. They got to know about the store to send them to you.
Yeah.
For you to check out
people
and
would call you on the phone. This was like pre-internet first, or like pre like having your store set up on the internet. So people from all over Texas would call because we were like one of the biggest, and like we always had everything stocked. They would call and be like, "Hey, can you play me some tunes? I have these tunes on. I like these tunes that I want to hear. Can you play them for me?" I was like. I had a few people that I would do that for. Like I'm not gonna sit there and do that shit all day, but because what are you gonna say? Like listen to him on the internet. Vishnu was the one that he would always get me to do that, and like I felt obligated because he got me the gig.
Right.
He's my homie, and I'm just like, all right, let me play all these tunes. Like here's a little bit.
How would you know how much? Right.
Here's a little bit. All right, I'm gonna switch it here. Here you go. Here's some more. Okay, yeah, I'll take that one. All right. But man, like what a pain in the ass that was thinking about it now. But man, just working there was so good. It was so good. The energy was always so good. Like lots of folks worked there. Like Baby G, who's one of my all-time favorite DJs. Baby G, I met when I lived in Denton. Baby G used to DJ at this place called the Argo back in '96, and it was like a really cool spot. They'd hip hop, and then they would have like dance music on the other days. But met G there, and then came homies. Man, that's one of my. I love that dude so much. But he worked at Alien. Mel. I think Coy West worked there for a bit. Kathy worked there on the side. Then we had like, Mark Crow, Chris Trope, Herb, of course, Miss H, who's a legend. Miss H is an Austin legend. Like Miss H is old school oil cans, rain, like pre-rain, oil cans, Boy Cellar, all that stuff. H has been here since the beginning. and like played with like RuPaul came to one of the shows back in the 80s when he was playing it at the Boys, I think a Boys Cellar or Oil Cans. But Herb, you know, also a legend. Like it was just so cool being around her, especially Herb and H, who just like had so much history here.
Right.
Herb, I used to come, I'd leave Odessa when I was in high school, drive straight here and go to Proteus. Proteus was like this double-decker club back in like the mid-90s. And Herb was always playing, Scott Gray would play. And then we had, after that, like they had this place called Hollywood After Hours here in Austin, and it was down just off Congress. And you'd finish partying at Proteus, and then you'd go to Hollywood After Hours. They opened at midnight, I believe, and then they stayed open till like 6 in the morning. But didn't serve drinks after like 2 because that's state law. But everybody was there till 6, just serving refreshments and your juices because everybody just needs to stay hydrated. You know, after a long night of drinking and no energy after that. You know, but no, it was a
drugs.
Party central like that. The Hollywood After Hours was fucking party. Man, it was great. Those are wild times. So that's what brought me to Austin. You know, like I moved to Denton. And then came back to Odessa, and then I was like, man, I gotta get to Austin. And so I've been here ever since. Like we used to travel here, like seriously, like 93, I would drive here right after school. Right after I got out of high school, I would drive my car here on Friday afternoon, stay here, I'll party all weekend, drive back on Sunday. We do that like at least once a month, if not a couple times. And like, what better place to be? Austin in the early 90s.
I get it. Like that was like there was a big energy. That's why I moved here in 2005. But I came here mostly for in the 90s I came here for the rave scene. Yeah. And then I came back for the hip hop scene, but the hip hop scene here was dying down. And I was like, I always fucking miss everything. Still here and love it. You know, it's Austin, Texas. We're on the map. I mean, literally, I don't have to. I mean, we are. Who isn't on the map?
We have a spot on the map. They give us our spot.
But people like the people. I mean, like, you know, they're moving here all the time. I can barely get around this fucking town anymore. Put a stoplight over on fucking 7th and Adiac or some shit. Like I'm going across the way. I was like, for here.
Right. Yeah.
It's all Austinisms. You'll get it.
Yeah.
So here's where I want to use 3 words. Give me 3 words about this era that we just discussed. Give me three adjectives that if you have 3 words for this.
Man. Exploration. Tons of that. Like we dug into every style of music. Man, energy, and just like
ecstasy.
I was gonna say that. Man, just like I think. I don't want to say the word freedom as in like freedom, but like, man, you just had so much freedom back then, man. It just seemed like everything was so much easier and so much more fun. And you didn't have to worry about like all the politics involved with the bullshit and like the.
It seemed like whatever you wanted was just going to happen, right? Like even beyond.
Totally.
It was just like something was always going down, something was always being created, something was always being explored.
Yeah.
A lot of foundation being laid down for like what this scene is, what this city is.
Totally.
You know, even now we're looking at how the electronic music, the rave scene is now. It's very much how it was in the 90s and right in the early 2000s because 2001, 2002, post 9/11, you saw the masses. You saw the rise of the masses. You saw, the degradation, I think, of some of the club drugs, right? Like they were kind of just getting a little bit more weirder and wackier and not as great.
Right.
Yeah, I think meth began to kind of really rise up. Post 9/11, a lot of things, were attached to the traumatic times that the Americans went through. Never forget. So, music.
Love it.
History.
Love it. I'm a fan. Music. Heard of it.
That's what I'm a fan. That's what we're doing. We're talking about. That's not about the big pants. It's not about Austin. We're talking about music. But I want to bring them in. I want to. Okay. We're an experience. We're bringing you into it. It's reverse birth. You're birthing. You're coming out. We're putting you back into the womb of time to discuss how you were born.
I was born.
Beyond your familial.
Got it. Okay. Got it. Like reborn.
Yes.
A rebirth.
I mean.
Yeah. Okay.
I
born again. I think they call it born again.
I don't know.
I think it's a different thing.
I don't think we want to do it born again, unless we want to get a certain kind of audience. Which,
I mean, it's Texas.
As much as I've said tonight, I think that we might get some of the attentions of maybe the West Boroughs. God willing.
Maybe.
Music.
Yeah.
Family.
Heard of it.
You have some of that.
I do.
You do, because we're talking about when did you like your first electronical music situations? We talk about that, but there's got to be a time before. Yeah. There's got to be a time before you heard something with a synth or a drum machine.
Sure.
Tell me about that.
Man, I was like, probably the thing that really caught me when I was a kid. You know, I was an MTV kid. I was there when MTV first started. That's obviously dating myself, but I mean, if you haven't been able to catch it from like me talking about being here in the mid-90s.
Lines, yes.
Man, seeing fucking, I mean, I'm a huge fan of like all 80s new wave and shit like that, but the one that really grabbed me when I was a kid was Herbie Hancock Rocket. And seeing that video and hearing that tune for the first time just like changed my head. Then I became like really into, you know, like any of that old school breaks, like, you know, break dance, like old school shit like that, like Man Parrish and like hip hop bebop, that kind of shit, man. Like that was it. All Paul Hardcastle, like any of those things, man, were really where I was at, and what really grabbed me. And then, you know, the older I got, even though that style changed, it was always kind of like a mixture of that, or you could tell where my influences were pulled from that, and the stuff that I liked, you know, the newer stuff I liked were still grounded in that same kind of style. You know, like I got into Kraftwerk. Obviously, they were before that, but you know, being like that's not something that kids, that, you know, like that's accessible on the radio when you're a young kid. You know, you have to dig through that. But I was always super into music. You know, when I was a kid, I played the drums. I started playing the drums at 10. And played with my uncle's band. We played like classic rock and, you know, that kind of stuff. But I would play in bars in Odessa at 10 years old. My family would come, and yeah, so I played in that band. Had bands in high school. I had a band that was called Velcro Ocean. Was the name of my band.
Why?
Good question. I mean, yeah, we're like.
Tell me about what were do you remember the reject names
on
that list?
No, like
did it just blow up?
I think the singer at the time came with. He thought that was a brilliant name, so we're like, yeah, we can. We're practicing at your house. You can name the band, and you've got your parents have all the money to buy all the gear and do all the things, like, and they have all the snacks. You can pick whatever name we want for the band. So we, you know, played like whatever grunge shit was back then, and had like. 2 original tunes that were both shit. Yeah, it was bad. And then then our next band iteration was called Crack Widener. Yeah.
Butthole Surfers, Crack Widener.
Totally.
I see where you're going here.
Totally.
Right.
And then we had a band called Noodle Dome after that.
I like that one.
Yeah, it's
I'd get a sticker of that.
That's a good one. But yeah, so you know, I was always in bands and stuff when I was in school.
No, we were in marching band.
I wasn't actually. I was in marching band.
Did you do the little half time, the little half step? Did you have to do the thing?
So I didn't play the drums in band. I tried out to play the drums when I was in band.
Was it the snare or was it the big one?
No, I played the trombone. So I tried out for the drums when I was in band. They were like, yeah, you're not coordinated enough to play the drums. So I was like,
they give you the fucking trombone?
Well, so I was like, fuck that. So my dad bought me a trap set. So then I started playing the drums like right after that. So at all the pep rallies and shit, I would play on the drums. But I played the trombone in marching band. But I also played football, which was an interesting thing because I would play football halftime when everybody else is chilling out in the locker room. I would have to take off my shoulder pads and fucking march with a trombone. I'd put the shoes on and the hat, but with like football pants and like a sweaty gray shirt, and would march. Yeah, and spell out whatever we had to spell out, you know, and go fight, win or some shit. But yeah, so that's what I did. Yeah, so I was in band all through junior high, and then I switched to choir when I was in high school. And I played in the show choir. I was the drummer of the show choir. Our group was called The Vibrations.
Okay, well, I think that's inappropriate.
Yeah, I did too. And our outfits were certainly inappropriate. They're all like gold lame and like shit like that. Our choir director was.
What is happening in Odessa?
Our choir director's like 65 and just like stuck in this very much like she's like, this is what you guys are wearing, and we would go play, and like we performed at Disneyland. We performed at Opryland Park. We opened up for the Oak Ridge Boys. Okay. So there's that. For any of those who know who the Oak Ridge Boys are, probably not. They had one song named Elvira, and I think that's the only thing they had. Yeah, but always into music. And then I got into, you know, like when I started listening to electronic music when I was probably like junior in high school. And I just like wanted DJ music, and like I would see these. I remember watching Juice, and I watched Juice, and I was like, I'm fucking DJing now, bro.
The competition scene that he'd been gearing all of these, like spinning around, doing all the things.
Watching now, you're like, man, he's not nailing that at all. Like you can tell it's not him, and he's cutting on it. So I love that movie, and so I was like, I'm gonna be a DJ, man. And so I had like a fucking Kenwood one that went on top of somebody's stereo, like a thick one. And then, it was all direct or belt driven. And then I had like another small, like little Pioneer. And then I had this, it was like a bookshelf CD player with tape deck. The CD player wouldn't work, so I had like a Mickey's Big Mouth. It was my friend Ruben's Mickey's Big Mouth that would hold the top down. So I'd play a CD, So I couldn't mix because they were belt driven, they were shit, and I had like this big Radio Shack mixer that had like the needle on it. And so I couldn't mix on them. So what I would do is I'd play a record that I had, and then I would have like some ambient sound on this thing. So I'd just like fade this out, play the ambient sounds on this CD, and then bring this other record in.
Okay.
And it was
That's crafty.
That's how I did it.
That is a crafty situation.
I had to work through. Yeah. So that was my first gig. Was at my best friend Ruben's house on the south side of Odessa, and like playing with that gear. I think about it now, it's so funny.
Now friendship.
Yeah.
You and Ruben.
Yeah.
Friends for a very long time.
Yeah.
He just mentioned his whole setup. He had a big mouth Mickey. I have no idea what that is. Oh, a fucking
Mickey's. Yeah.
So he's like, I gotta buy one, and then like, it's
put it on
fresh,
top of
and
it.
then when you're done, I'm gonna drink this.
No,
right?
like that thing was on his stereo for, I mean, as long as I knew him. I've known him since 7th grade. It's been like since 7th grade.
Was it full or was it empty?
It was full,
Oh, so
completely, because the weight had to hold it down.
The way he's like, I can't touch this. This is part of our
Then
stuff.
one of our friends drank it like our senior year, and it'd been been sitting there in the Texas heat in this room, and
that's not a good situation.
And it's like a clear bottle anyway. It's like green bottle,
Yeah.
So like it skunked as well. It was rough.
Yeah.
Watching him drink that was
So Ruben literally held you down.
Yeah,
as they say.
He's been there.
And still friends to this day.
Yeah.
Just saw him
2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Yeah, we've been friends for
amazing
32 years.
I love friendship.
I do too. Friendship's good. Friendship is rare. Oh, that's a Wayne song.
I thought we were ad-libbing. I was ready. I do that a lot.
Sorry, that was Wayne.
Ween?
I'm a huge Ween fan.
I see a Ween thing. You won't be able to see it.
Yeah.
In the back, I see it, and I was like, is that a Ween?
Do you see what's on the Ween poster? It's Charles Manson with a Jesus robe carrying a dead alien.
This speaks to me.
Yeah, same.
It speaks to me.
That's why I do it. Yeah.
I like that. You know, somebody's theorizing that Area 51 is the exit.
Makes sense. Makes total sense to me.
Now
maybe that's where the Sasquatch goes.
Okay, so now we're getting into this. This is my part of the interview, all right? This is where I'm glad I actually had notes here. Well, okay. I had something similar.
Okay.
We talked about Squatch earlier. Maybe we'll get into it. Now I want to flow in this direction just to take a little break. We'll get back into whatever we were talking about at the other time. But what's important here is, have you ever seen a ghost? Have you ever seen a ghost?
I feel like I have, but I think it was mostly drug induced. So I don't know that I really have. We're all future ghosts, so there's that.
Yes, we are. We are. But I also thought that you meant like we were doing the time slip situation, because I love anything with the time. It has a time slip. It has a repetitive loop. Yeah. I like that thing. So I like the idea of like, oh, the ghost that I'm seeing is actually myself in the future, not really a ghost. One of my favorite movie plots ever.
Just ghosts?
Just
in general?
Molly,
you in danger, girl.
I touched the mic with my thumb. I'm sorry if that's going to come out. Excuse us again. First show. We're kicking it off. The inaugural. Does that mean we're going to do it years?
That doesn't sound attractive. That doesn't sound like a good one.
The rule.
Inaugural. It's too many vowels in there.
I hate the English language.
Yeah. And why do we have the metric system? What's up with that?
I have to apologize to my coworkers all the time. They're in Europe, and I'm saying, look, I don't understand this whole date month thing that you arrange them in.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't understand what kilometers are.
Well, everything's a power of 10. Like, why? I saw this thing the other day that there was this hole in the highway, and it was 3 washing machines big. Like, that's how big the hole was. And we're so fucking opposed to the metric system. We come up with our own shit. Like, this was 6 washing machines big, versus it was 5 meters, or whatever.
Oh God, I hate that. I'd be like, oh, okay, that makes sense to me.
It does, right?
Do you mean long ways or we're stacked next to each other? Which?
Right. It's good.
Oh well, we're so ghosts.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've seen the movie Ghost.
I have seen
the
movie
Not sure
Ghost.
if you've seen
I'm crazy for Swayze. I'll tell you that much.
Who isn't?
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Roadhouse Dirty Dancing.
Roadhouse is mine. Roadhouse is.
I get that. Dirty Dancing is mine, and I feel it makes sense for us, right?
Yeah.
The other day I was with some family. My nephew comes in and he's carrying a watermelon, and I say, "You carried a watermelon?" Didn't understand. He's 8. But he didn't get it, and I thought that was sad, because I knew what it was when I was 8.
He'll get there.
You should, yeah.
He'll get there.
So forth. Not Havana Nights, though. You missed the alien sighting that we had at the camp.
I did.
But have you ever seen, and I won't go into it, it's not about me, but we did see an alien. It was a UFO. Or it could have been an alien as an orb. It doesn't matter. Have you seen one before? Any supernatural, any cosmic situations?
Yeah, definitely some cosmic business going on. So as a matter of fact, it ties into you. Remember when I saw you? This is a crazy story. So my friends and I used to drive from here to Big Bend, which is an 8-hour drive, and you're on I-20, or I-10 rather. And it's a long drive, and we would leave at night. and we would stop at the same couple of convenience stores along the way. We happened to stop in Alpine, which is 6 full hours from here. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, there's like a caravan of us. There's like 10 of us or more. We get out, go into this convenience store in the middle of fucking nowhere. Who'd I see? Misa. Run into Misa in the middle of nowhere while we're going out to Big Bend to, take some hallucinogens and squeegee our third eye. And so while we're out there, we're shooting off fireworks and whatever, and this huge green tail just comes across the sky. We thought it was somebody shooting fireworks away from us.
Right.
But this thing, you could just hear it humming like zzz, all the way across the sky. There was Fun Fest was going on here in Austin. Danzig was here, and like people talked about seeing this green tail. They saw it from Corpus Christi to West Texas, and we saw this thing like right overhead, right in a prime mental state to see this thing and like embrace it. And it was just like right place, right time. It was amazing, so good.
I love that.
I assume there's aliens riding those things. That's just how.
Oh man, like a ski-doo, like a sea-doo, just like. Ah!
That's how they get it. Some kid just like ripping around on it. But then I'm gonna take out the meteor for a little bit, bro. But yeah, aliens. I would assume I've seen them. I feel like they're among us. I mean, I'm a They Live fan, and they walk among us for sure.
Oh man, yeah. I
So
agree.
they're always here.
I agree.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, is that, you know, like I feel as if now I don't want to get into the current shitstorm that is the people that are fucking, well, they're not that well politically or fucking, you know, mentally. But back in the day, 9/11 situation, we had our own crazy theories. A lot of us had our own crazy theories, but we never went as far as these people now. You know what? I'm not going to give them any more time, but I'm just saying that they do walk among us.
They do.
But I'm not going to kill anybody over it. I'm just going to let it be. That's good. Family.
Yep.
In the band, 10-year-old at a bar, drums.
Yeah.
What was the name of the band? The Crawford Family Business?
Do we even have a band name? It was my uncle's name. His
You would
his
just-
name was Cecil. Cecil Dale, which Dale's the prominent middle name of my family. Cecil Dale. What was the name of the band? Well, there had to have been a name. I was at 10. I didn't give a shit. I was
Why
just like,
Dale? I mean, I
I
just need to know.
the beauty of that name.
I know.
Think of it. No, there's
fun to write.
I think there's like 10 of us in my family. Like my name is
a lot.
Bobby
I love it.
Dale. We got Ricky Dale, Cecil Dale, Andy Dale, Stephen Dale, Truly Dale, Terry Dale, and I think there's a couple more that I'm forgetting. But yeah, Dale. That's the one. That's how classy we are in West Odessa.
Like it's Dale.
I don't know, Dale. No. Yeah.
Did your son take on the Dale?
No. I
You
wish,
broke the cycle.
Curse. The curse. No, his name is Isaac Andrew. So he's got a.
I
nice,
like that.
beautiful
Yeah, it's
name.
it's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a desert
Not a Dale.
name.
Yeah, not a Dale.
Not a Dale.
Yeah, not at all.
So what is there a washboard in the band or?
Not at that time. There's a washboard in my current band. I play the
love a
washboard.
good
The washboard's sitting right over there.
You do play the washboard. I have seen it. Tell me, let's shift over to this. What's this band?
Okay.
What are you doing?
Yeah. So the band. So should I start with the band, or should I talk how I built up to the band?
Let's
do that.
build.
Let's
Let's build into it.
So we talked about the drum and bass. I played the drum and bass from, I started in like 94, 95, and, played that consistently until about 2005. And then it just started getting like really heavy, and I was getting, into the heavy shit too. But it was just like not as musical as I liked it, and so I was looking for something else. So I started getting into grime and like early dubstep at that time, before it was like really coined dubstep, but it was like really grime and stuff like that, and getting into like weird Planet Muse stuff, like this Bit Meddler and like all these other weird like noise kind of shit.
Did you say Bit Meddler?
Bit Meddler.
I
Isn't
love
that
that.
great? And then like listen to all that stuff, and I was trying to figure out my sound, and so I would like play a little bit of that, play a little bit of this grime, and kind of like go back and forth. And then like really caught on like a dubstep sound. Like I had a friend lived in the UK, sent me a couple of CDs that had all this like really early like Digital Mystic stuff, and loved it. And so I just went full force into that, and started the first dubstep night here with my friend Mike Innerline, Tyrant, Johnny I.O., and Sloppy Jackson. We had a night called Wait at Plush, and like I think we started very early 2006, maybe end of 2005, I can't recall. But had the first dubstep night in Texas. There was one dubstep night called Dub War in New York, and there was Grime City in LA, and there was one more I think in California, but we had the first one in Texas. And it was great. Like we went off on that for quite a few years. And that just kind of progressed. And then same thing that happened to drum and bass, started getting really angry, and kind of
they called it bro step.
Yeah,
right.
You started losing like the dub of the
Yes.
dubstep, and that was the beauty of it. And so all my homies produced, like Mike produced and Pete, and then that's how I met a bunch of folks that we brought in, like Ramadan Man, who ended up turning into Pearson Sound, my boy Headhunter, who is now Addison Groove. Just had a lot of folks that we met on the Dubstep Forum. Mike and I actually had a show on Sub FM called The Drawl, and it was great. We were like, Sub FM was a UK-based internet radio station that played all dubstep. We were the first Americans on that show, and so
representing America.
So we were just like, I would play up my accent for sure. The show was called The Drawl because like very drawn out, like just like the music. The very first song we played was from Team America, America Fuck Yeah. It was the very first song I played on the show. We had a blast. Like Mike and I did that for a year or two. And it was great. And so we had that outlet, and we also would bring in different acts, and brought in like I said, Headhunter and Caspa and Anti-Serum, Joe Nice, Junior, Clouds, Gothtrad, like a ton of folks to Plush, and had really good shows there. And then that went on for a while. We just kind of grew tired of it a little bit, like the more bass kind of like, I don't want to say bass house, but like more bass kind of drive. That's what we started really getting into. And
now you're talking about like a garage, like a two-step.
It was kind of two-steppy, but like it was more like bass, kind of like, I don't know, it's like 130 BPM, kind of good like driving bass stuff.
Right.
So I started getting into that a lot, and started a night at Kingdom that was called Bottom Heavy, and ran that for like a good year and a half. And then man, I just got like, at some point I just got tired of going out and tired of like I couldn't muster up the energy to like really promote something again. I'd been doing it shit for so long, playing it every week at Plush, sometimes multiple times a week. You talked about the Monday night. They used to have a Monday Night Raw where you go in there and play anything. I would go in there and play random shit on a Monday night sometimes. Then I'd play like on Wednesday, and we had the Friday and I would play Merrick Brown's night. He had a really beautiful broken beat night that he would do, so I'd hop in there every now and then, just playing a lot. And at that point, 2012, I was just like, man, I'm over trying to like get another night going. I just didn't have the energy for it. And also, I just thought, I had this thing where like, if I wasn't DJing and I was at the club, I felt awkward because at that point in 2012, I was 35, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that right? I don't know. I think that sounds right.
We're in
yeah,
mid-30s.
That sounds right.
Right.
Yeah, so 35.
I'm 32.
Yeah, so I was 35 in 2012, and I was like, I was getting older, and everybody else was staying the same age, like that
Totally.
Matthew McConaughey thing. And I was like,
very
and I
Austin.
felt I felt a little creepy. I'm like, nothing creepy about it, but I was like, I'm fucking old, and everybody else in here is like 20. They're like my son's age, and I'm like, fuck, this is weird. And also just like didn't have the energy for it, so I stopped playing out. Like I just gave it up, and so then I started like. I always had like a big record collection, had like, classic rock and a bunch of old like outlaw country. So I started DJing that stuff. Like I would go to Odessa and play at these like motorcycle club rallies and like cars. Like my homie has a lowrider car club out there. So I'd go and like DJ at their stuff, play like, some cumbia, play like some outlaw country, all this other shit. So I did that for a while. And then met a friend who was in a band called Kill County. They came from Nebraska. In about 2015, met him, and he and the banjo player had moved here, and the bass player, but their drummer stayed in Nebraska. My wife was friends with them. That's how I met them. But they're like, yeah, your wife told us you played the drums. Like, well, that was like 25 years ago, but I'll give it a go. So I picked up drums, and I've been playing with them ever since. We put out one album, and they have 6 overall or 7. We just finished a new one and actually just sent it to get mastered on Friday, so it'll be up on Bandcamp soon enough. I do too.
Yeah.
We actually just gave our website up, our Kill County website, because we're like, why would we do that when you have Bandcamp? Plus, it was like a killcounty.org, which I always thought was weird.
.net.
Because somebody had the .com already, and we're like, huh, it's like a .org.
Also, who has killcounty.com? Like, what are you doing?
Right.
They're like, well, we're an animal kill shelter.
Yeah,
Wait, what?
Exactly. But yeah, so it's been great playing with those guys, but it's still like such a departure from like
Right.
all the electronic music that I'm into.
But you're going back. You're coming
totally.
back now. You're driving to Odessa.
Exactly.
You start driving to Odessa to
Right.
do shows there, which I think that did you ever look at that? Did you ever take a look at that and say, wow?
Well, yeah. I mean, so the band was supposed to play out there. So like right before COVID hit, actually the weekend, like in March when shit went down, we were supposed to go out to Odessa and play. Then COVID wasn't really popping off yet, but there was an altercation with one of the other. Not rival bike clubs, but there was like some shooting went on in Odessa, and so they were nervous to go out there. But I was like, "Fuck it, I'll still go."
Like that's just what happens in Odessa.
That's exactly what I told them. And they were like, so my friend was like, "Well, if Dan's not coming, can you just play?" And I was like, "Oh, so instead of being behind everybody in case shit goes down, I've got 3 people in front of me. I'm now front and center."
But you got the washboard. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly. So the band has been we've been playing. Man, it's so good. So it's like very folky Americana, like really like these guys are like old punk rockers, and they have like really old like punk rock ideologies, and so very like fuck the man, and just like really the lyrics are lyrically beautiful writers. I was a fan of them before I joined the band. And then we've been together for 6 years, and man, it's great. It's so much fun. But yeah, again, such a departure from like what I normally listen to and like that kind of stuff. But it's great.
Still in the DNA there though.
Totally. It just feels good. It feels like it's just good. And they're good dudes, like really good dudes. So
I've seen y'all play,
awesome.
love it.
Yeah.
I remember I got my puppy in 2017, and I brought him to the show. So it was like his first, first show ever.
Yep.
I'm a little puppy Domingo. Looks just like Bobby's hair.
He does.
Put him next to each other. You couldn't tell which was which. We have photos. We'll put them up on the site. We don't have a site yet, but when we do, we'll put it up there. A couple things here. One, I forget that Nebraska exists. I had a theory for a very long time that it didn't.
Yeah.
And then somebody said the Faint is from there. Well, I like the Faint at that point, so I said, well, I guess it exists.
Yeah.
I don't like. I hear a fact, I make up a thing. I don't go any further. I don't dig in usually.
Yeah. Well, why would you?
I mean,
why would you?
who has
just
the
form your own
time?
opinions. I form my own opinions from just reading the title of an article. Like,
This whole country's built on opinions,
Right. Like scientists go to school for years and like so learn all this shit only for an asshole to be like, that's bullshit.
Yeah,
whatever
that doesn't
you're
work.
saying.
Right.
Yeah. I drove to Nebraska. We drove for our bass player at the time was getting married, so the band ended up playing there at like one of their old stomping grounds. I can't remember the name of the place right off, but I'd never played there with them. So we go there and we play. It's called the Zoo Bar is where they played, and they used to always sell this place out. We go there for the wedding, and then the next night we play at the Zoo Bar. Sold out. The place was sold out. It was awesome. We had like a full crowd of people who knew that band. Were like yelling out song titles that I don't even know this fucking song.
That's
it was
good.
so rad.
Yeah.
Such good energy, man. It was great, like to have, all their old school fans. But yeah, they knew all the songs, and they're like, you guys want to do this one? And I was like, I don't know that fucking song. Like, but I'm the drummer, so
Is it a swing beat? I don't know.
Good thing is I'm the drummer. Like I don't need to know any chords. I'm just like, is this one? All right, good, we're good. Just a little feel here. We're good. Yeah, it's nice. But yeah, so it does exist.
Yes.
And there's lots of corn out there, obviously.
That's where our corn.
I feel like the corn that they grow is for agriculture. Like I think they feed. It's for feed. I don't know that
we don't eat that corn.
I don't think
it's a whole different corn that we eat. That's complicated.
I don't know. Maybe I'm making this up.
I take it as fact, not opinion.
You know what's interesting is that they you think about elotes with mayo. Nebraska boys love mayo more than anybody I've ever seen in my life.
believe
They are
that.
on it. Yeah,
That seems like it.
Yeah, mayo sandwiches straight up, like nothing else
That's
but the mayo.
a little
much.
That's a little much. Yeah. But then I feel like in Texas there's people you've met who have ketchup sandwiches. Like I feel like okay, well,
I'm
maybe
not
not
friends with any of them.
But I think
If I
that's like
do,
an Ohio thing. Not that I ever lived there, but sometimes I meet somebody from Ohio and they always say something that shocks me. A couple things, unfortunately. I do know, and let's see, fans, if you want to corroborate on this, I think that there is a Florida-Ohio connection, which I don't want to disappoint any of our demographic, but Florida's trash, and Ohio kind of is too. And I get it, not your fault. There's a lot of things that happen out there, the economy-wise, but I do notice that people who may be in Florida, end up in Florida, have some sort of beginnings in Ohio, or people who escaping Florida because they're now a felon, go to Ohio. Casey Anthony, case in point, from Ohio, now to Florida.
Wow. Okay.
I know.
I see it.
Yes, it's we need to talk about the Ohio to Florida pipeline. Nobody's ready to talk about that.
Not ready. It's too soon.
Marriage. Now you mentioned
marriage. It's like Princess Bride all of a sudden. Marriage.
Which I have a Princess Bride tattoo, but it's not about me. Maybe we'll have that up on our Instagram page that we've yet to we don't have one.
Yeah.
Don't look for it. You can go to mine. We're not gonna. It's not about me. It's about marriage. You went out for a wedding. You played the wedding. It was a lovely time. But I want to talk about yours because you've mentioned your wife a couple of times. Big fan, both of us. And Christina.
Yep.
May I say her name?
Yeah. Sure.
Christina.
Christine. Yeah.
You mentioned, she knew the Kill County guys first. She introduces you. She's a very extroverted personality.
Emphasis on that extra.
Good. She met Addison Grove.
That's actually a place here. It's a wedding venue here in Austin. Addison Grove.
There was something you said.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll interview him one day and figure out how he came up with this name. But my apologies. I'm an idiot. So she met him at first. She's like,
actually, no, I met him first.
You met him first,
but now she's better friends with him than me. I'll let her have that. I'll let her have that.
Right.
Yeah, no, he like we brought him in 2007 as one of our very first shows at the Parish, and like we just became buds, and like he would come, like we brought him several times during the dubstep days, and like now when he goes on tour, he comes and stays with us for a week. It's great. He's a good dude.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, sorry to digress. So
Well,
she, yeah,
so
she knew Tony.
You guys have been apart. You've been together for how long now?
A long time. No, 24 years.
Yeah. I love that.
years.
That could be a whole
time.
other child.
Yeah, or like a sentence on some sort of serious crime.
Probably like a murder case in Texas. They're like, you don't get life. I mean, it's just
25 years. It's fine. Don't forget about it by then, dude. It's okay.
I was with some friends tonight. We were talking about you. I think we usually kind of bring this up in the whole. I'm going to touch you. I don't want to give the ojo, but like we're like, oh, like everybody's having or friends get newly married. We're like, we'll go talk to Bobby and Christina. Go sit with them for a second if you have any questions about how to get on.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Do you have any
advice?
Any advice for marriage?
Got lots of advice. Man, so I'll tell you a story. When we first got married, we lived over by Highland Mall, when it was still Highland Mall, and not ACC. And there was an old man on our corner, and I always saw him out watering. And I knew he was married, but I never saw his wife. He's hanging out, watering the yard all the time. So I stopped by one day. I'm like, hey, I know you're married. Like, what's the deal? Like, I never see your wife. Is she okay? He's like, oh yeah, she's just in her side doing her own thing. I was like, how long have you been married? He's like 64 years or something crazy. It was an insane number. I was like, oh, okay, my wife and I just got married. What's the secret? He's like, do you ever see her? And I was like, no. He's like, we have our own hobbies. We do our own thing. We have plenty of space. He's like, we spend time together. We also make time for ourselves and make sure that you have enough space for yourself. And like, I don't want to like say that like, the secret of longevity is not seeing your wife and just like doing your own thing. But having your own hobbies is super important. Having an outlet. But also just sharing things with one another and growing together. Like that's the thing is music brought us together. And like we're both very, very into music, but our sounds, sometimes they roll together, sometimes they go apart, but we both still appreciate one another's music. I'll go on these crazy like krautrock tips for like, hey, check this stuff out, or some weirdo shit, and she's like, yeah, all about it. And it's just good like being able to share those things and just like working through those, like listening to music, but any problems you have, just working through them, man. It's all about working through your shit, having good communication, but just having fun. Like if people don't have fun. And I'll tell you another secret too, long relationship. I have a son that I had when I was very young, love him dearly. We have grandkids. But had I not had a child at that point, Christine and I did not have any kids, and that's the secret to a long relationship. Man, I think kids ruin it, dude. Sorry, Mike. Shit.
Right. No, I mean, and I think that I think self-centered. We don't want. There's a negative connotation to it, right? And maybe it doesn't have to say self-centered, but it's like you're right. We're exploring who we are. Yeah. We're you get earlier I was thinking like age ain't nothing but a number, but like it is right. Like it's really just more of a clock of how long you have here. Like when people say, oh well, you're this age, you should be doing this. Why aren't you like this? Where it's like, well then on the converse of that, you could say that. Like, oh, well, if they're 35 and they haven't bought their house yet, then, then anybody who does have a house should be 35, right? Like, it's like, where do you kind of measure, like, what you should be doing? And it's all on somebody's own measurement.
Yeah, but, like, whose measurement? Yeah, what's that about? Like, how much fun is that person having who's 35 and, like, sitting on this exact clock where doing all the things they're supposed to be doing? Right.
If somebody has the opinion of that, I'm like, well, what else is on your fucking list I need to do? They're like, well, I'm glad you asked, because you should also have a zebra farm. And, I do want one. But I don't have one. So does that mean I'm not 35? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Right, and I'm not 35. Guess. I gouache. Right. And so, I think that, we're still living in these times where, we're raised by boomers. And they're saying, have the babies. You got to have them. And then the government wants you to have the babies. They want you to have the babies.
They do.
Because they either want to take your baby and sell it in the adoption service, or they just want to like tie you down, so you're now in fear of making sure your child's going to be okay, so you can't take any risks and like explore your juices.
No, you got to keep those juices wrapped up. Keep them juices wrapped up, especially now. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We're in a tough time in Texas where you got to keep them juices tight. Keep those juices dry, y'all.
Yeah. And throw some sand on it. I don't know. Cut that one out. We're in Texas right
I'm
now.
not a doctor, but sand is the
Do not
answer.
do that.
Don't throw some sand in there.
Especially not Galveston
This is not your
sand.
playbox.
There's a lot of oil in it.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Yeah, no.
And I love that what you've given because I do see you and Christina as having this thing, right? You've always like, we just do our own thing. We come back together. And I've tried to actually tell some of my other, lovers, some of my relationships, like, look, I don't need to be with you all the fucking time. Like, I will go. I'm gonna go do this other thing. I'll meet you like when we're tired. We can hang out. We can watch a movie. Cuddle up.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to work for me. And I don't know. Maybe it's when my voice does this. Maybe that's why I don't want to stick around. Hasn't worked yet, but I get that, and I love that advice. I think that everybody take note.
It's good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, don't get the Klingons, man. You gotta leave those guys alone. Leave them out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I feel like sometimes maybe. Anyways, it's not about me. It's not about me. We'll
talk about that.
We'll take that off camera. We'll do the margarita. Genres.
Okay.
You mentioned. You dip off. You have your own things. You say, hey, I found this thing. I want to show you my love, my true love of my life. I want to show you this music. It's krautrock. And she says yes. So how are you exploring genre?
Man, I just dig in. Like, I don't know. Like, I listen to a little bit of everything. Like, I've always listened to a lot of everything, actually. But then I just get in these weird rabbit holes where I'm like, well, let me dig on everything that's krautrock based for like, and man, you just like, you open these doors and you walk in them and you just take in all this stuff. And
Digital
like,
digging.
Yeah, totally. You dig all that up and then you're like, okay, cool. Now what? Now what else? What else is out here? Oh, there's psychedelic cumbia. Like, let me dig in all this chicha.
You do a good.
I love all that stuff.
Good
like that,
psychedelic
like
cumbia.
any of that shit. But it's just like finding these little niche that you want to like really explore and then digging in. But electronic music in general is just like, it's so deep.
Yeah, it does.
Drum and bass, like I've stepped away from it for a long time, but I got back into it. Like literally, like at the start of the pandemic, I bought my first controller ever. I never played. The only thing I ever played on was like CDJs. Like I'm a vinyl guy. Played on CDJs because it was the same kind of thing as a turntable. You had like your CDs and it was like a physical product.
Right.
Throw it in there and same kind of shit. Never really played on anything like a controller or had any of my songs on a thumb drive until I played a show a few months ago, and that's the first time I ever had to load songs on a thumb drive and go out there and play, and it was great. It was super interesting. But so I got a controller just at the start of the pandemic and got like back into drum and bass, and man, this stuff is so good. Granted, there's some bad things too. Like that's the one thing about SoundCloud and people don't have. You don't have to have a label to put out your things now, right? So there's no label, quality control, making sure that everything that comes out is good. So there's a lot of bad, but there's so much good music right now. With it, and like I love how everything is just. There's just so many different genres within this bass kind of sound. We've got drum and bass, which is like 180, 175, 180, but then like all this stuff is like from 80 to like 130 to 140. Then you got your 160 stuff. Man, it's just so good, and there's so much of it. And so it's been interesting, like getting back into it and like really just engulfing myself in these sounds and just seeing what I've missed over the past few years. But it's even hard going back and doing that. I'm like, I just got to keep up with what's current, So it's been interesting, like digging into all these different sounds, and it's been great.
Yeah.
Like I didn't realize how much I missed it.
Yes.
Until I got back into the sound and actually played out for the several months ago for the first time in a long time. Like played drum and bass out in public, and it was awesome. So much fun. Yeah. I forget how much I miss that energy. It's so good.
And part of that also, is the digging, right? Because I feel like, we were digging, we were doing vinyl, which is, you're feeling the records, you're flipping through, you're looking at album covers,
right?
And then vinyl goes away for a minute, right? It was really hard to even it wasn't really being produced as much as, it's back. I think that it is back now. What are you going to do, flip through CDs? You're not going to flip through CDs. And you have to, and the internet's still climbing up. There wasn't SoundCloud yet. So you got to kind of really figure out how to download this music during this period where we don't have SoundCloud. We have iTunes, but iTunes doesn't have the catalog. Okay. Just, I love that, that a lot of this conversation is coming into, you're being birthed. And then we're bringing you back in. And now you're coming out.
Yep.
Well.
It's hot in there.
Let me ask this.
Okay.
Let me leave you with this. You leave us with this.
Okay.
Any advice for old DJs? Fuck new DJs. You'll figure it out. You get all the advice from old DJs anyways. They're always like, well, now it's just like we've done this last hour. So you're digging in these genres. You're figuring out now. You're doing bass music. You got your controller, and you're like, let me play those things. It's beyond drum and bass now. Now you're incorporating different bass music that you've been finding. This digital digging that we like to call.
Yep.
And what are you doing now with that? We're post pandemic before we go in. Sorry that I called it that. It's really hard to get away from our cute little
post pandy.
Yeah, I liked that one
so
too.
Cute.
Post canned anymore, is what I heard, which I really was into.
Nice.
We'll never stop. So, so you get your controller, you're out here, you got your music, you're like, I've got all this stuff.
It's interesting though, like, I get all the stuff that I buy on, different sites, like all the music, any halftime and 130, 140 kind of stuff. I still gravitate towards drum and bass, man. Like, I love all that stuff and I still play it, but like, if I have my choice, I'm always gonna play drum and bass. There's so many different like genres within that genre. Like you've got like the liquid stuff, you got like atmospheric, you got like the deep minimal, you got the bangers. I don't ever go with like the like the rave bangers. That's not my thing, but I always gravitate towards that. But I love like all genres, and we in there, like anything multi-genre is where we're at. Like we have a production company, or we're starting a production called Pressure Point. We have our first show in 2 weeks with Nikki Nair on the 24th at Studio 69, and we'll have Nikki Nair, my old friend Merrick Brown from Chicago, his wife Toya Koya Brown from Chicago as well, and myself playing. And Toy's one of my old friends. She was in Mental Note crew back then. We also had a night at Lava Lounge, played drum and bass. But like Merrick plays a little bit of everything. Nikki plays a lot of everything. So it's gonna be great to have like a multi-genre show, because you don't see those a whole lot. Especially here, we've got like house and techno,
right.
Or it's just straight drum and bass show. And may have some like dub or whatever before that. But like truly, like I'm gonna play some chill drum and bass. Toy will probably do the same. Roll into 160. Merrick plays a little bit of everything from like 120 to 140. Nikki plays everything from like 90 to 160. So it's just going to be truly like a multi-genre throwdown. So I'm super stoked on it.
That sounds lovely. And we're going to have them on set. This isn't the set. We don't know where the set's at yet. We're actually in Bobby's office and DJ studio. These are mini records, which he knows where they're at.
They're real. It's not just like like a Zoom background.
Like a fake library background.
It's a cardboard.
This isn't props. They all play. They're in order.
They are
next to his horror movies. Videos, VHSs.
Yeah.
So the Pressure Point. What is that? The name of the
Pressure Point's the name of our crew. So it's me, my wife Christina, my old homie Wes, and his wife. So Wes ran 32 Degrees, which was a big drum and bass warehouse. It was they're called Decibel Warehouse. 32 Degrees was the name of the crew, and that was back in like early 2000s in Dallas, and they were bringing all the heavy hitters back then, and it was great. So he was friends with my boy Catalyst, who I mentioned earlier, that I started DJing with, and Wes and I've been friends ever since. He moved here, I don't know, 15 years ago or so, or maybe even longer now. But he's in it with us, and we're stoked to throw our first show. It's we were hoping that the pandy would be on the way down, but it's certainly not.
Anywhere.
It's certainly not. So you just gotta be safe and hope for the best. And I mean, the show's gonna be great regardless.
Gotta get your boosters.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm going to try to see if I can get, I had the Pfizer, I want to see if I can get some Moderna in. I'm going to ask him, like, hey, can you mix and match?
Yeah,
I
like a
mean,
little cocktail.
Right.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? I tattooed freckles on my face. I don't care anymore. I'm just out here making on-the-fly, shoot-from-the-hip decisions. I don't care.
Why not? Yeah, why not?
What's there to care about?
It's good.
So,
what else you got here?
we talked about discovery. I want to talk about your hair.
Okay.
Bobby.
All right.
We love the hair is iconic. I mean, I'm telling you, we've actually, and we still could. We could make this. When I say we, I mean you. It should be a logo. It should be an icon. It could be, but also it's ever changing.
It is ever changing.
How do you? I feel as if you change styles as much as you also are interested in your genres, right? You have a wide array of styles.
Sure. Yeah.
And your genres, like, how do you feel? How do you feel like you're your own piece of art?
My hair just like it tells me where it wants to go. Like it just kind of creates. No.
I believe it. I'm all like I get that.
I'm just thinking as long as you know me, like there's been so many styles, so many facial hairstyles, so many hairstyles. I mean, I usually last several years I've just had like a big pompadour mullet and long curl mullet. Like I've had the hair down my waist. I've had mohawk. I've had, everything. Like it goes. Yeah, and then facial, full beard, big chops, big ass mustache. Like I've done.
You're
I do it all.
expressing yourself.
It's true. I'm a hair farmer for sure. Like I'm a redhead, man. Like it grows, and you're like, what the fuck else am I gonna do?
It does, right? I mean, does your son have the same hair situation? Is it?
Pretty much, yeah. It's not quite as curly, but he's got a good beard. Yeah.
Do all the Dales in your family have curly hair? Are they?
They do.
Wow.
They do.
Wow.
Yeah. And most of them are balding, so they've got like the curly skullet. And so but it's interesting because they wear cowboy hats, so it just looks cool in the back until they're like, howdy, and they're like, oh fuck yeah, we're not hanging out with you.
Yeah.
Nothing worse than like dancing all night and then at the country club in Odessa, and then take off their hat, and you're like, oh fuck yeah.
It's like sweaty, and the strands are kind of
exactly.
flying. It's like the preacher in fucking Poltergeist. No offense, but I love that. I just love that visual.
I love that character.
In the holy temple.
Let me in your house. Fucking creeper. So good. So good. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think I just have one more question, and I just want to say, advice for the older DJs, the DJs in your era, the people that are DJing
that are still my age,
past 30, past 40.
Yeah.
We don't give a fuck about the new DJs. You're gonna get all the advice anyways, because there's always gonna be an older DJ saying, back in my day, don't fuck with so much crossfader.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you gotta tell them? They're still out there.
I mean, there's a lot out there, like especially like the artists and stuff I listen to, that are still doing it. That are older than me. Like your Ray Keith and like Goldie and Doc Scott and all these cats are still doing it. But like in around here, I think all my heads that are still doing it are just, they do it for the love, man. Like that's all it's about. I never gave a shit about getting paid, but I mean, if you want to book me, you're gonna have to pay. But like I've never really given a shit. Like I just love the music and I want to play it, and I think just play what you love, and who cares? Like when I switched from drum and bass to dubstep, I got so much shit from all the drum and bass heads, because I was like the drum and bass guy, the drum and bass buyer at the store, and I got so much shit for switching this genre. They're just like, you're selling out, blah, blah, blah. And then what happened? They like all rolled into it too. Just, man, just stay true to whatever you think. Like, just, just because you're genre specific, like, fuck it. Like, you shouldn't be genre specific.
And
like,
it's part of your sharing, right? You're like, hey, I found this, I like it.
It's not about you. It's not about you. It's bigger than you. Yeah. We were at a show not too long ago, and I'll wrap this up pretty quick. There was a guy just playing like bangers and shit. Like, he was the opener. And this girl I was with, Wes's wife, as a matter of fact, she was like, I bet I feel so bad for him because nobody's in there dancing. I'm like, well, the reason nobody's dancing is because he's fucking blasting you with like primetime tunes at 10 o'clock, and everybody just wants to like ease into it.
Right.
I was like, the only person he has to blame is himself. Like, you got to realize that, like, maybe what I'm playing isn't working. Let's change this up. But I think just stick with what you love, man, and don't fucking get stuck in these ruts of like playing the hits, man. Like, play some weirdo shit, throw some weirdo shit in there. If it doesn't work, you got your backup, so you can bring them back in. But like, fucking go for it, man. Who cares?
Yeah, you don't gotta tie yourself into this. You can pull it out. You can you can course correct at any moment,
weird,
just
man.
like you can in life.
Get weird. Nice, like that.
Well, Bobby Dell.
Yep, that's me.
Beats and buddies.
I love it.
Buddies and beats.
Buddies and beats. Beats and buds.
First episode.
In the books.
In the books.
Nice.
I hope for many more.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank
for
you.
being born. Thank you for.
Thank you for talking about my rebirth. I love that. Okay.
Thanks for coming out and then going back in and then coming out again. Yeah,
I'm talking to you afterbirth.
That's what we should name the podcast. It's Afterbirth. Production.
Cool.
All right. Well, we love you. I love you. We love you.
Bye.
We love. Bye.